Alright, let's be real. This movie sucks. When I was watching this film, I was only thinking about two things. One, they better bring back our two Spider-Man, and two, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man should be the one saving MJ. And ultimately, I got what I asked for. These were things that I predicted and they delivered. But this film at the end of the day rang hollow mainly because the plot was weak. If you watch the trailers, you basically got the entire sense of the movie. Peter's identity is released. He goes to Doctor Strange to have people forget his identity, and then shenanigans happen, big fight, and that's pretty much the end of the story. And sure, there are some little sprinkles into the story that add a little bit flavor to the story, but it's not enough for you to be going to the theater, sitting there, coming out and saying that this is a 10 out of 10 film. This is at best, and I'm really stretching that best, an 8, and at the lowest, I would say a 6. That's the lowest I would say they should go, but I would say right in the middle of a 7, right? And like I said, the main reason for that is because of the plot. Three biggest issues that I have with this film is the plot holes, the characters, mostly Peter, making dumb decisions, and the story, and some, mainly one particular storyline that I can think of that goes nowhere. And that's where I want to start off with. So, the storyline that goes nowhere is the idea that he is going to be facing legal actions, he's going to be attacked by the public, all of these things, right? So that's going to be summarized by the idea that his identity is a big issue here because allegedly he killed Mysterio. But in this sense, when you watch the film, that's wrapped up right away. He gets Matt Murdock, which is cool. That's very cool. But as soon as Matt Murdock shows up, his case is solved. No issues there. The only thing that he has an issue with is the court of public opinion. And their resolution for that was, instead of showing evidence that, hey, I didn't kill Mysterio. Like, even another option, even though this may not be the best option, he could have went to like a newspaper or a news organization and let them know his side of the story, provide them with the evidence that he likely would have provided them during his case to show evidence that he was not a villain that was killing Mysterio, and that he was not causing all of this destruction in Europe. Instead, he goes to Strange, which again is understandable for him to go to someone with all of this power to see if he can clear his name. Which leads us into the next situation here. Part 2 of this mess. Doctor Strange is completely at fault in the sense that he started the spell without explaining the details of the spell to Peter, or trying to come to a complete understanding of what needs to be done or what Peter is asking for, right? Because the spell that he was creating was to have everyone forget that Peter is Spider-Man. So once the spell is done, what exactly is going to happen to Doctor Strange's memory? Is he going to forget Peter? And then when he wakes up in that room and realize, hey, wait, who are you? Is he going to fight Peter? Like, these are things that I'm just like, okay, why would he do that? But okay, movie logic, gonna skip right past it. Try my best to. Now we move on to the fact that the villains are here because the spell was botched, and Peter is getting attacked. He brings back a villain to Doctor Strange, and they explain that because the spell is botched, all of these enemies who know who he is are coming through and trying to invade this world. And if this continues to happen, this could damage this particular universe. Now, this could be completely wild in the sense that some characters, if they do end up fighting Spider-Man in other universes, may not be directly in New York. They could be in Florida. They could be in Africa. Like, there could be a number of villains who know who Spider-Man is, and we're not capturing them. So that's something that could be pushed to the side as, okay, movie logic, we'll skip past that. But here's where things bother me, to like the sense that my brain is like exploded all over this room. When they bring back these villains, they all start to interact with each other, which is kind of cool. Seeing Doc Ock reacting to Green Goblin, and they're having their whole talk about, oh, you're dead, I'm not dead, you're dead, and all of this bullshit. It's kind of cool. But the issue here is when Peter finds out that they die fighting Spider-Man, and Strange is trying to send them back to the point where they were at. So if Doc Ock was fighting Spider-Man at his lab at the end of Spider-Man 2, and he was about to die by drowning, I'm just kind of trying to understand, if Peter decides to cure them, how exactly do they stay alive? Because if Doc Ock is cured, he's still going to be in the pond drowning, trying to stop the core from overreacting and destroying the city, or possibly the planet. If Green Goblin comes back cured, he's still going to get impaled by his glider, right? But let's say if they do come back, and they come back at a point where that they're not going to die, but they have control, this causes a whole nother issue for that universe's Spider-Man. So Green Goblin dies by a glider. Raimi's Spider-Man, obviously the great power speech from Uncle Ben, and decides not to be with MJ. And then in addition to that, Harry grows to hate Spider-Man and distrust him, but ultimately he realizes his dad was bad at the end of the movie, at the end of like Spider-Man 3, right? So how exactly does this universe work? And then in addition to that, the reason why Osborn became Green Goblin is because his company was going to fail if they didn't get that government contract. So he did that, kill his enemies, and was trying to sell this formula to the government. So it's like, okay, he comes back, he's alive, he failed, he's alive, Harry's alive, but then what happens with Doc Ock's timeline is completely reversed. Does he still exist? Doesn't he get erased in that same timeline because they're in the exact same universe? So Peter doesn't fight him? Bro, these are the things that you gotta think about when you're doing these kind of stupid storylines.